Beneath the floorboards of a rotting lighthouse, I found a salt-stained ledger that calculates the exact cost of a wasted life. It doesn't track ships. It doesn't record storms. It doesn't contain weather reports or navigation routes. Instead, its yellowed pages document something far more disturbing: the slow daily erosion of human potential until the light finally goes out. You need to hear these warnings before your internal flame flickers into permanent darkness. The lighthouse stood abandoned on a forgotten stretch of coastline. For decades, the sea had battered its stone walls. Wind screamed through broken windows. Rust consumed the iron railings that once guided weary keepers around the lantern room. Most people saw nothing but a ruin. But hidden beneath the warped wooden floorboards was a leather-bound ledger untouched for generations. Its cover bore no title. Inside, there were no names, only dates, calculations, observations, and one recurring phrase written over and over again: the light did not fail all at once. At first, the meaning seemed unclear. Then the entries began to reveal a terrifying pattern. The keeper wasn't documenting ships. He was documenting people, not specific individuals, human beings as a whole. The ledger described how potential dies, not through catastrophe, not through one fatal mistake, but through tiny daily concessions, the kind so small they barely seem worth noticing. One entry read, "Today he chose comfort over effort. The loss was almost invisible." Another stated, "Today she delayed her calling until tomorrow. The flame dimmed by a fraction." And another, "The retreat was only one step. Yet every retreat teaches the soul a direction." The keeper seemed obsessed with a strange form of arithmetic, the mathematics of erosion. According to his calculations, people rarely abandon their dreams in a single moment. Instead, they surrender them piece by piece. One missed opportunity, one avoided challenge, one postponed ambition, one excuse, then another, until years later, they wake up wondering where their fire went. Imagine a lighthouse. Its beacon shines across miles of darkness. Ships depend on it. The keeper understands that the light doesn't disappear overnight. If the lens is neglected, dust accumulates. If the machinery isn't maintained, friction increases. If the fuel isn't replenished, the flame weakens. Every tiny act of neglect appears harmless, until one night the beam can no longer reach the horizon. Human potential works the same way. Most people believe failure arrives dramatically, but more often it arrives quietly. It hides within routine. It disguises itself as comfort. It whispers that missing one day doesn't matter, that delaying one task is insignificant, that settling for less is reasonable. The danger isn't the single concession. The danger is what the concession teaches you. The ledger contained an unsettling equation. The keeper called it the arithmetic of erosion. He observed that every small retreat from purpose compounds over time. 1% less effort today, 1% less discipline tomorrow, 1% less courage next week. Individually, these reductions appear meaningless. Collectively, they reshape an entire life. Just as a coastline is carved away grain by grain, potential disappears decision by decision. No one notices the change while it happens. That's what makes it so dangerous. One stormy evening, according to the ledger, a young sailor visited the lighthouse. The sailor asked the keeper a question. "How do people become failures?" The keeper pointed toward the ocean. For several moments, he said nothing. Then he asked, "Do you see those cliffs?" The sailor nodded. "They seem eternal." The keeper smiled. But the sea is winning. The sailor looked confused. The cliffs appeared unchanged, massive, unmovable, permanent. Yet the keeper explained that every wave removed something, not enough to notice, not enough to alarm anyone, but enough. Over decades, enough becomes everything. The sailor never forgot the lesson, neither should we. Modern life has perfected the art of erosion. Every day, countless distractions compete for your attention. Hours disappear into endless scrolling. Dreams are postponed because conditions aren't perfect. Talents remain undeveloped because improvement feels uncomfortable. Goals are abandoned because progress seems slow. And all the while, people assume there will always be more time. The ledger repeatedly warned against this illusion. One page contained only a single sentence. The future is built from today's smallest habits. Nothing more. No explanation. None was needed. The keeper understood something many people refuse to accept. Your future identity is not created by your biggest decisions. It is created by your repeated decisions. The ones nobody sees, the ones nobody applauds, the ones you make when no one is watching. As the entries continued, the tone became darker. The keeper described meeting older men and women who once possessed extraordinary ambitions, artists who never created, writers who never wrote, inventors who never built, leaders who never led, not because they lacked talent, but because they allowed hesitation to become a lifestyle. They waited and waited and waited until waiting became their identity. The ledger referred to them as keepers of extinguished lamps, people whose potential still existed in memory, but no longer existed in reality. That phrase appeared repeatedly throughout the book, and each time it felt heavier. Near the end of the ledger, the handwriting changed. The letters became shakier. The ink faded. The keeper himself had grown old. One final entry filled nearly an entire page. It read, "People fear failure far too much. Failure can teach. Failure can redirect. Failure can strengthen. What should terrify them is neglect. Neglect asks for nothing today and steals everything tomorrow. Potential is not lost in battle. Potential is lost in abandonment." Those words may have been the keeper's greatest discovery. The enemy was never failure. The enemy was gradual surrender. On the final page, there was only one sentence, simple, direct, unforgettable. Tend your light daily, that was it. No grand philosophy, no secret formula, no complicated system, just a reminder. Because every lighthouse survives through maintenance, every flame survives through attention, every meaningful life survives through consistent action. Your dreams do not need perfection, they need care. Your potential does not require genius, it requires maintenance. And your future is not determined by what you intend to do someday, it is determined by what you choose to do today. The lighthouse keeper understood this truth better than anyone. The light never fails all at once. It fades slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day darkness takes its place. The question is not whether your light is burning today. The question is whether you are tending it. Before the ledger's warning becomes